Good afternoon. This is Tisha McDonald, Alternatives Beauty Studio.
Good evening. This is Tanika Gillard. I am naturally yours.
What's going on, Nikki? How was your day today?
I had a wonderful day. As you know, Auntie came and visited and cousins, so it was an awesome day with them here all day. A long day early, rising, shining, cleaning, cooking, but it was great seeing them.
That's a
So it
fun
was good.
day. That's a fun day.
It was a fun day. How
You're
about
getting
yours?
that loving from Rainy.
Oh yes, Rain was spoiled. She was on her best behavior today, looking cute and everything. Her and her cousin was getting down with the get down, dancing and stuff. It was awful.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Yes, yes.
My,
How was
my
your
day
day?
was very productive. My day was very productive. I got a lot done. You
Okay.
know, I'm happy. I got a lot done and I have a lot more to do. I see that we already have 3 watching. So
Oh,
let's get
okay.
into our subject tonight. Our subject matter tonight is what's the difference between dry scalp and dandruff? And then I have to go into some extra bonuses I didn't tell you about, Nikki, that I'm going to
Okay.
go into a little bit later after that.
Okay.
So, what's the difference between dry scalp and oily scalp?
I don't know.
Uh,
You tell me. I'm here with you.
yeah, there you go. Oily scalp, well, not dry scalp and oily scalp, I'm sorry. Dry scalp and dandruff. Dandruff is oily. Dandruff will give you like a oily feel to it. It'll look scaly a little bit. That's the difference. And dry scalp is dry and flaky. It will flake on you. Either one is going to flake, but
Hmm.
the dry is more like snowflakes coming down, wherein the oily is a little bit thicker, a little bit wider in the scaling, and it's a little
Hmm.
bit heavier. So
Hmm.
that's the difference between a dry scalp and dandruff. And
Okay.
people really don't know the difference because it's like a thin line, but there is a difference between dry scalp and dandruff.
So, what would you suggest for people either with either one? So, go ahead and address the dry scalp first, and then address the oily. I mean, you
Dry
know.
scalp, yeah, I know what you meant, dandruff.
Hmm.
So with the dry scalp, I wrote down some of my notes. You would need a moisturizing shampoo, a moisturizing conditioner. I'm big on uh, uh, deep conditioning. So the winter time is the best time to do your deep conditioning because your hair becomes very dry in the winter. And in the summertime, you have the sun out, it's nice and warm. You're gonna absorb that moisture in the summertime anyway. But still, you still need to moisturize in the summer as well as the winter. You want to keep that scalp as healthy as you can throughout the year, not just certain times of the year.
Okay. So you said a moisturizing shampoo and a moisturizing conditioner. Would you also suggest a hot oil treatment?
I would suggest a hot oil treatment. I also would, there's a lot of different oils that I would suggest to use. There is of course, the coconut oil. Everybody knows about coconut oil today. However, you don't want to use a lot of coconut oil because if you really look at coconut oil, it solidifies, so you would need to use it in its liquid state, but very little, very little.
Mhm.
And then there's your tea tree oil, which is great for the oily scalp because it has the properties in it, the antiseptic properties in it for the oily scalp, but it also works for dry scalp. Then you have your aloe vera, which everybody is big on aloe vera as well, because it's so good for so many reasons, aloe vera gel. And witch hazel, I tell that to my clients all the time that have locks specifically, especially when they are starting out because they can't wash their hair, when it's in the baby phase. So I do tell them to use the witch hazel on a cotton swab through the scalp. That also works if you have box braids or twists and you don't want to wash your hair because you really shouldn't be washing it. You just use the witch hazel on a cotton swab, you put it through your parts, you know, have mom go through your parts, have sister go through your parts. You could go through your parts yourself, but just as long as you cleansing that scalp.
Okay,
Then
well, I have
you
a
have
question on
jojoba.
the witch hazel for my peoples. Isn't witch hazel drying?
No, and that's where people get it confused as well because they will say, "Isn't water drying?" But water is a moisturizer. Witch hazel is not drying. Actually, have you used witch hazel before?
Some of my clients use witch hazel.
No, it's not drying. It's not drying. It's good for the scalp. And it's
When you think about witch hazel, you think about alcohol.
no,
You
it's
know?
totally different.
Okay.
Alcohol, no, that's
Okay.
totally different thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying for the people, T, for the people.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
Mhm.
And then lastly, your jojoba oil. And a lot of people know about jojoba as well. Jojoba is actually a carrier oil. So if you wanted to drop in a couple of drops of your tea tree essential oil, and you got to be clear because there's oils that's on the market that say tea tree on it, but it's not really the real tea tree. The real tea tree, and I have plenty of essential oils, it's in a little brown bottle. And that's what the real tea tree is. I see like the green bottles of tea tree and all of this. No, you really got to be careful about what you're buying. Just because it says tea tree or because it says all natural doesn't necessarily mean that it's an all natural. The tea tree you
Yeah.
want is the brown bottles, small bottles, and you can add a couple of drops, no more than 4 to 5 drops to your jojoba oil, your carrier oil, and then put that on the scalp.
So real quick, do a recap on what you just listed.
A recap: coconut oil, but not too much. Because that is very thick oil. That's a very thick oil. And if you're allergic to nuts, then that's not one that you would use at all. Same thing with tea tree. If you're allergic to nuts, you will not use tea tree on your scalp. Um, you would mix, like I said, you can mix the tea tree. You can mix that with the coconut oil or the jojoba oil. Aloe vera on the scalp, witch hazel, and those were the ones that I mentioned. I'm
Okay.
sure that there's others, but those are the ones that I would recommend.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in here now. I agree. Coconut oil is not an oil that I would suggest for the summertime because it does solidify and it does turn to liquid. So if you overuse the coconut oil on your scalp, I've heard clients say, it drips in the summertime because it's so hot. We're in Alabama where it's over 100 degrees down here. And you don't want buildup with that oil as well. Especially if you have locks. I think that's kind of a heavy oil. So I do agree. I do like the jojoba oil. I like grapeseed oil. And that's a carrier oil as well. I like grapeseed oil as well as if you doing flat irons or hot treatment on your hair. Like it holds a lot of heat. So if you're using flat irons or something like that, it's a good oil to use. And it's also good for your skin. It's wonderful.
Even vitamin E.
Yes, vitamin E. I think everybody should know about vitamin E. Aloe vera plant gel, all of that is wonderful. A lot of people here just get the leaf and scoop out the center, and they use that and make their own gel, whether they're using it as a lock gel, if they're using it as a facial, if they're using it on their scalp, they'll do a treatment with the aloe vera. And then witch hazel, yes. Some clients do use the witch hazel on their locks and on their scalp in between their braids or whatever. And so that's fine. I do allow my clients to wet their hair or shampoo their hair, but they have to dilute their shampoo with their braids or with their locks because, again, I'm in Alabama. The heat is just so much. And then a lot of them are working out now because of the summer. They want to have their bodies and stuff. So I deal with a lot with my clients down here in Alabama with the heat and the sweat and the buildup, just I gotta wet my hair. It's just too hot, So, but when they do the consultation, we have a good conversation on what is good and what's appropriate. So far as your essential oils, I agree. I feel like I tell my clients the stores that they need to shop for to get the real essential oil and not this manufactured stuff that they have at the beauty supply store, just like they have organic relaxers. What's an organic relaxer? There's no such thing as an organic relaxer. So I always tell them the stores here, Golden Temple, and certain other stores here that I like to get my essential oils from, and then they can mix it with a carrier oil. So it's just good for them to know their options and what they can use. Also, peppermint oil is a good oil to use on your scalp. If you get the essential oil and mix it with a carrier oil, and also I said peppermint. A lot of people like rose water on their scalp. I was allergic to the rose, but other people really, really love the rose water.
Okay. So to recap, this is TG McDonald's Alternatives Beauty Studio.
And I am Tanika Gillard. I am Naturally Yours in Birmingham, Alabama.
And we are just talking about dandruff versus dry scalp. Let's go into another scalp issue that people have, which is psoriasis, which people would confuse dandruff. Now, I already explained that dandruff is an oily flake. They would confuse dandruff with psoriasis. Now, psoriasis is a medical condition, and you could tell psoriasis from dandruff because usually it's like red, irritated scalp, very sensitive to touch. Like if I have a client, I've had quite a few that had psoriasis, but I have one currently, and they feel, I'm not going to say he or she, they feel like it's just dandruff, but I'm like, no, this is an ongoing, it's more than dandruff. This is psoriasis, but they're in denial about it being psoriasis. So, okay, it's going to be dandruff for that person. So when I wash the hair, I always have to be very careful because if I scrub too hard, then he's going to start, I just said it, then they're going to start bleeding. So I have to be very aware of that. And also the flakes come out very easy as I'm combing the hair, the flakes is just, so we always make sure that, that person is in the salon by themselves. I give it extra time when they come. They're at the salon every 2 weeks. And you have to be careful of the products that you use with people with psoriasis because that's a medical condition. And sometimes they refuse to go for the medical treatment, as in this case, where they would get special shampoos. But once they're in denial, they're in denial. So it's not like you can't work on them because they have psoriasis, but you have to know how to work on them when they have psoriasis.
Okay, to that effect, I agree. You have psoriasis and you have eczema of the scalp as well. And so it's important for the client to see a dermatologist and get the proper treatment, whether it's shampoo or creams that they give for the scalp to treat the condition. I have clients that come and they do bring their shampoo or their ointment to put on their hair. Others, I'll say, if I notice something new going on, patches maybe here or there that weren't there before, that's why you have to have a consultant or consult with your clients. Your stylist should be knowledgeable about conditions. Even though they're not doctors or medical, they'll know what's healthy scalp and what's not a healthy scalp. And if they see something different, they might say, did you start a new medication? Are you drinking enough water, eating your fruits and vegetables? What's going on? Are you under a lot of stress? What's going on here? Why is this part of your hair being affected right now?
Eczema, oatmeal, crushed oatmeal works wonders for eczema.
So it's important to have a regular stylist. And I know that sometimes my clients, certain times during the year, like maybe during the winter, they wear relaxers. So they have a stylist for that because I only do natural hair. And then in the summer, they have me as their braider, which is cool. And so I have quite a few clients that's like that. And so their hair, we're watching, both of us, both of the stylist and the braider, we're watching and making sure. And, even when that client goes back to their stylist for their relaxer, they're like, your hair did good with the braids. Who is your braider? And so it's important for your stylist to be knowledgeable back to the scalp issues and that they recognize and not just gloss over and just say, okay, I'm going to just throw these braids in over it. No, take the time, see what's going on with the scalp. I had a young lady whose grandbaby had a scalp issue. She's from a different state, the grandbaby is, and she was like, what could I do here to resolve this issue? Because the baby is a baby and, didn't want to be teased at school and stuff. I said, right now, to best serve her, crochet till her hair starts to, but leave the scalp open so that you can get to the scalp and treat it while she has those crochet. A year later, she said, thank you so much. That helped me so much. It gave her scalp time to breathe, and it's important I know we're talking about scalp issues, dry scalp and stuff, but it's important that your stylist or your braider, your natural technician, that they're knowledgeable. And so I want to just say that we are both licensed, and we've both been in this field over 30 years. So get that treatment. I know Tisha mentioned tea tree oil is also good to treat certain scalp disorders. They have tea tree soap, tea tree conditioner, if you're not allergic to tea tree. Like she said, the oatmeal is good. Aloe vera is very soothing. So you gotta just find what works for your scalp. But if anything, go to the dermatologist and get that treatment, get that oil, or whatever cream or ointment is what they do.
Okay. Again, this is Tisha McDonald's Alternatives Beauty Studio, and you're watching The Twinness. This is my twin, Tanika Gillard, naturally yours. So I said I threw something else in. Well, let me just touch on the oily scalp issue one more time, because people need to know what to use on an oily scalp. If you have, because we didn't talk about oily scalp. We just talked about dandruff versus dry
Dry.
scalp. This was my throw-in was the oily scalp. That was my throw-in for tonight, and I have one more throw-in tonight. Oily scalp, that's like when your sebaceous glands, your oil glands are overproducing. And that's really a hormonal imbalance right there. So for that, you would use products that's specifically for oily hair. And of course, if you have oily hair, you don't want to use something that contains a lot of oil. So exactly, you would want to, if you can, just keep your hair natural. Keep it in its natural state, because if it's in its natural state, it doesn't show that you have as much oily scalp or oily hair as you do. But as soon as you start to flat iron it, then it shows that, oh, your hair looks greasy. Oh, it looks oily. Oh, it looks. So if you can wear your hair and don't mind wearing your hair in its natural state, that's the best state for you to wear it in. I know like afros are a big deal now, or people are just really embracing their curl. So if you have an oily scalp, the best hairstyle to wear is natural. You don't want to use products that have silicone in it, because silicone is like a covering. It's a covering, and it'll look nice in the beginning. It's almost like using, and I'm going to drop the name, it's almost like using Pantene. Pantene, it looks good in the beginning, but the more times you use it, it creates like this wax buildup, and you don't notice it in the beginning. It's almost like using mineral oil, like baby oil. When you put it on, it's nice and it's oily and it's this and it's that, but then over time it just starts to build up, and it's not good for oily hair. So you want to stay away from any kind of silicone based shampoos or conditioners or whatever you use before you flat iron, because you really don't want to flat iron if you don't have to, because it shows that your hair is oily. And also, when you do your hair, wash your hair, condition your, make sure you wash that product completely out. Your shampoos and your conditioners, wash that completely out, because it'll sit in your hair and it doesn't help the situation at all.
Right. I was going to just say to make sure that you read your ingredients on the back of your bottles, because it'll tell you what your first ingredient is. That's, mostly that's going to be the main ingredient, that first ingredient. So if it's water, if it's like she said, silicone, if it's, you have to try to understand the names, because a lot of times they'll write it in a jargon that we don't know what that is, So sometimes we got our cell phones, look up the word or the term real quick and say, oh, okay, that's coconut oil, or, that's shea butter or whatever. And see, because a lot of times now with the natural products coming out, a lot of the brands coming out with this line of cocoa butter, shea butter, see where it falls on that list. Is it the
Let me
first
tell you something,
ingredient?
Tanika, and I'm going off a little bit. We went to
Okay.
BJ's the other day. My daughter had me buy this shea coconut products. It's a scrub. I'm not going to say the name of the product, but you know what? The coconut and shea was the last ingredient on it. I said, you made me waste my money on this, because I didn't read it before we walked out, and it looks like it's full of shea butter, and it looks like it's full of the coconut seed to exfoliate the skin. When I got it home, I'm like, I spent money on this, and it's the last two ingredients.
Yes.
The last two.
Yep.
I'm like, what
Yep.
the heck is the rest of this filler? You
The
know?
filler, yes, yes. And that's how
Exactly.
you lose your money. Just like you were talking about, this is what real tea tree oil is compared to the fake tea tree oil. It's like, okay, if you read it and the last ingredient is tree oil, then you're not getting your money's worth. You're getting all fluff and then that minimal, the
Tanika,
minuscule. You
even when
can't
people come and say, "Oh, I only paid $2 for this," I said, then that's not the real deal, because
exactly,
tea tree oil is not just $2.
exactly.
So we're gonna end up, and this is my last one for the day. This is my other surprise. Um, brittle hair, brittle
Mm,
hair,
mhm,
brittle. So brittle hair usually happens when the hair is dry, or you have split ends, or it's frizzy, and it's usually has breakage. There's breakage to brittle hair,
mhm,
and that's usually because people don't like to trim their hair. They want the length, and they don't
mhm,
realize that it's not healthy. And the split ends just keep going straight up, and that's what makes the hair so brittle. And it's
mhm,
also caused by excessive heat. If you flat iron all the time, if you use the flat iron too high, if you use a blow dryer and then the flat iron, both on high heat. So when I do a wash blow flat, I try and use one and one. One is going to be super hot and the other one is not. I'm not
mhm.
going to use super heat for the blow dryer and super heat for the flat iron.
Right.
One or the other is going to be hot.
Mhm,
Um, so what can you do about brittle hair? Moisturize. Use a moisturizing shampoo, conditioner, um, deep condition, hot oil treatment. These are the things. You could use a mask on the hair. So that was my last surprise subject, was brittle hair.
mhm.
And even locks can be brittle. If your hair is not being oiled or moisturized on a normal base. Now, people say, how often should I? Your scalp. I don't know how often your hair gets dry. Like I oiled it yesterday, but it feels kind of crunchy today. I might add a little oil to the bottoms, because we think we're only going to put it right here and then it'll seep down, and that's true. But sometimes, like, you miss spots. So like I feel dry back here. So even though I
Mhm.
oiled it yesterday, I think I'm gonna throw a little more oil in it today. As soon as we
Okay.
get off the air.
Yes, and so you mentioned about the brittle hair, just tagging along just a little bit because I'm the baby. Um, so with the brittle hair, even with the heat and stuff like that, at night, make sure that you do a wrap and preserve your hair so that you don't have to apply that heat again and add more damage to what's already being done. And also something else you was talking about, oil. So even with my locks, and my clients with locks, when I oil their locks, I do everything, the scalp and the hair, but I also like to brush my locks. And people think that that's odd, but it helps to give the whole hair the treatment, and it just spreads it out, spreads the oil out throughout evenly. So that's why
Yes,
I like to brush
me too.
my
Me too.
locks.
Yeah.
So, that's it.
So I want to say thank you for joining us tonight, Alternatives Beauty Studio. You
And
can look
naturally
at us,
yours.
yeah, naturally yours. You can look up um, my online store through my website, alternativesbeauty.studio, and hit that shop button.
I am naturally yours, and you could go to iamnaturallyyours.com and shop online as well at the beauty supply store.
All right. We want to say
We
thank you for. Go ahead.
Yes, we want to say thank you for joining, but we want to say we'll see you on Sunday at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time.
At 3 o'clock on Eastern Standard Time, guys. Thank you and good night.
Good night.